to PDA supporters around the country for the candidates that we've endorsed nationally and for Bernie Sanders in states where there are upcoming primaries. So New York is the big lift here. If they can pick up 75 to, well, 60 to 100 delegates, it's not quite the way it's been explained in terms of the 25% threshold. Bernie already has more than 25% of the total elected delegates. And at any rate, Bernie will have roughly 21 to 24% of the seats on all the committees currently. To get out of any committee, there's certain procedures that you need 25% support on the votes in those committees. And if Bernie has over 25%, then he'll have that. And the most important one going forward is the Rules Committee, because we don't want to see the reversal of the rules that were achieved within the Democratic Party going forward, and which could really create a reconsolidation of the moderates and the marginalization of the progressives. So we need about 100 more delegates to ensure that. It's a complicated arithmetic, and it's possible that of the roughly, oh golly, about 12% of the people on those committees who will be super delegates, it's possible a few of them will end up voting with the Bernie people. Most of them are not Bernie people. Very few of them are. But they may end up voting for us on those. So we may already be there, but we don't know we are, so we have to keep trying to win delegates. That's
okay. Any other questions?
Well, I did want to ask you guys about your general relationship with.
I'm sorry, I had a question. If you don't mind.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm frankly horrified. What happened to the Democratic Party? And you say Biden beat Bernie. No, they ganged up on Bernie.
Sure.
So, and then Biden, the guy can hardly talk. That's the best the Democrats can do. So, it'll come down to who's going to be the VP, I suppose. But I think there's a real problem in the Democratic Party. As you said, it doesn't represent the people who are the Democratic voters. The elite of the Democratic Party seem to think it's their party and screw you. That gave us Hillary, who was a terrible candidate, screwed Bernie. If Bernie had been the candidate, he would be president, and it would be a different world, a different world. Because I know people who wanted Bernie and said, Hillary, forget about it, and voted for Donald Trump. 18 out of 20 millennials that I talked to wanted Bernie. 20 wanted Bernie, 18 voted for Trump because Clintons are the corporate Democrats. And that just continues, this corporate Democrat thing. It's not about the people, it's about the money. So whatever our group can do to kind of pull that away, but it doesn't seem to be going in that direction. And the antics of Nancy Pelosi, the impeachment circus, I think backfired. And this COVID-19 thing, I think personally is way overblown and is a scam. It's just designed.
Oh no.
Well, that's my opinion. You can have your opinion, but
basically,
the globalists want to destroy nations so they can take over, and this is part of it fits into what they're doing, in my opinion.
The Democratic Party, though, I would say this, is at least cognizant that there are enough progressives at this hour because of the success of the back-to-back Sanders campaign, the popularity of the progressive positions, that they need the votes of progressives to win and be competitive nationally and in innumerable races. Even in states where progressives aren't that strong, the progressives are so much stronger than they were before 2015, before the two back-to-back Sanders campaign. Now, in terms of the Democratic Party and how we engage with it, we have to engage with it because there are no elected officials who aren't Democrats. And I don't think there's any evidence, in spite of the spectacular and beautiful public rebellion that occurred over the past few weeks, there's no appetite for revolutionary transformation of American society. And if there were, there isn't so much that nobody even knows what that would even look like. So we have the elected officials creating public policy. This actually is a very strong state. Our relationship to government has been proven how very, very strong and essential it is even over these past few months. Now, The United States, all the rhetoric you get from the right wing about, of course, it's a somewhat free society, depends on which community we're talking to, right? But the proof of the strength of the state is that they've been able to organize it as effectively as they can to have it work for the investor class, right? Those are all state regulations that are put in place that allow for the operation of investment capital to work the way that it operates. So we need to have an engagement with the government because they're going to create public policies right now that are going to affect all of us and affect all of us going forward. It's going to affect the world's environment. It's going to affect the public health care system, the economy, the structure of the economy, the criminal justice system. These are all because it's a society where law operates and public policy has a major influence on the way that we live. And the Democratic Party is going to hold, somewhere between 48 and 54, 55, 57% of the elected officials across the country. And they'll listen to us and the Republicans won't. So we have to engage with the Democratic Party. And so I really do think what Tim Carpenter and all of you in PDA recognized years ago was the necessity of being progressives and operating inside this apparatus that at least we can create a wedge of influence. Now, you're absolutely right, Paul H. Johnson, so I know there are two Pauls here, that it's a very corrupt system. If the elected officials represented the policy supported by their base, we'd live in a different world. But there's a lot of corruption, and of course, money's central to that. If I may, I love Bernie, and I'm not anybody who's carping criticism at Bernie about the way he ran this campaign or the last one. However, I did think in 2020, he didn't emphasize the role of money in politics quite as much in as accented a way as he did in 2016. And we've lost sight of how central that is. I wonder if perhaps if the reason Bernie didn't do that as much this time is because he raised so much money that with all these different candidates on a stage with him that he had outraised, they would have pushed back and whatever they would have done to push back because he had raised so much money. But he did it in a way that represented a public rebellion against the financing system within American politics. And Bernie Sanders and his success to be competitive masks how much of a barrier that is to participation in the system. So we as PDA have to keep that foregrounded. And, props to to the people who keep it foregrounded. And, there are many things we always have to keep foregrounded, but getting big money out of politics is certainly something the public agrees with us on, and we have to keep it foregrounded.
Yeah, I mean, getting money to run for office is not the skill set that necessarily makes you a progressive representative of government. I mean, it's antithetical almost.
It's just skill set with a sequeous lapdog is what it is.
And I talk to elected officials like Julia Brownlee, and they spend a big chunk of their time just raising money for the next election cycle.
Right. Yeah.
And that has to influence, public financing of elections. How come everyone, the people that support it, but the Democratic Party does not? What's the story here? The ones in power want to keep the way things are because they want to keep their jobs.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that got spoken about the Bernie Sanders campaign, that people, for instance, I was heartened to see how popular the show Rising became on, what was that called? The Hill produces it. And her and the guy who's a conservative, ostensibly, their critique of why the Democratic Party was so opposed to Sanders was because all of those people who were in the room at the debates and the media people, they were going to get defunded if the Sanders revolution came into effect, because they're all living off of this money that gets generated basically through campaign financing apparatus and the lobbying apparatus. And it's a pretty parasitic setup. I've worked closely with it, and of course, there's lobbying groups that I love because I'm with them politically. They are generally the very defunded ones. So there you go. Anyway, I wanted to ask the group about which congressional offices you feel are within range of your chapter. So obviously, Cardenas, Sherman.
It would be Sherman, which would be the main one we concentrate on is CD30, which is Sherman, but also to a degree Cardenas. We have letter droppers to both those offices. I do the drops to Sherman's office, and Mark Zamoski and Robin Gilbert and Kat Schneiderman do the drops to Cardenas. And, you know, we have a pretty good relationship with the people at Sherman's office, and they're pretty responsive. And, you know, they're open to, at least on the domestic issues, to a lot of our legislation. And Mark and Cardenas is just, everyone complains about it. His office is not knowledgeable, they're not responsive. And I don't know if you saw the emails that we copied in on.
Yep.
I mean, we're talking about doing an endorsement, and we're hoping that we'll end up endorsing Angelica Duenas, who is challenging Cardenas. I mean, we'll have to see how the vote goes. But
what was the split in the primary?
well, it was pretty. I don't know. Maybe Teresa knows. It was pretty heavily favorable in favor of Cardenas, right, Teresa?
Yeah. I don't remember. I was actually kind of surprised that she was in the top two. I'd forgotten. I guess federal. You if you get over 50%, it's still not automatically yours.
No, it's always going to be runoff. Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't realize that. So I'm pretty sure he got at least 50%.
Oh my God, I'm looking it up now. He does not have a war chest relative to other incumbents, but he has just under $500,000 as of March 31st. She has under $5,000. Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, wow,
But I mean,
that's a small amount of money. Yeah.
They've tried to get him to, I think they did get him, or Russell did get him to sign on to HCON Res 52, but he wouldn't sign on to the Green New Deal. He's not supporting Medicare for all.
Right, and she does, right?
Oh, yeah.
Mark has been working with the other letter droppers and with other groups trying to get him on it, and they can barely get a meeting with him at all. So that's, you know, even if we think that Angelica may not have the strongest chance or be the strongest candidate, from what we can see, she's very progressive on the issues. Her positions on the issues are in line with PDA's, and you know, we've got to do something to try, and if nothing else, send some type of a message.
Yes, and
go ahead, Mark.
she was a Bernie delegate too, and I've given all the money I can to support her, and she, if you call her up, she calls you right back and talks to you, and I've had the great fortune to meet with her for, you know, an hour and a half at a time and go over things given my circumstances with American Federation of Musicians Local 47, which is in very strong support of Medicare for all and the Green New Deal.
Right.
And all my, as Mike was saying, all my visits to his office, the staff there is all very nice, and they ask what I want, and I tell them, and they said, well, we'll send it upstream and you'll be hearing back from us, and we never hear back. And I've just had so much of Tony Cardenas. There are good things that he does from time to time. Well, he supported the Butch Lewis Act and what was the congressional name of it for predicting multi-employer pensions? Anyway, AFM 47 is part of that stream too, but by and large, he just seems like a corporate dem to me.
Alan, she's been endorsed by other groups, including North Valley Democratic Club, and the thing about the North Valley, I don't, you know Richard Matthews?
I'm not sure. Oh,
yeah,
no, maybe. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Anyway, that's his club, and it's when they do endorsements, people usually show up to the meeting, He's never shown up to one of our meetings in that club.
Wow.
He doesn't even reply when Richard sends out multiple emails saying, we're going to look at your endorsement. Do you want to send somebody? He didn't even send anyone this year. So they went and endorsed Angelica. People just can't, he just doesn't respond. I've sent multiple emails trying to get a meeting for Medicare for All. People just say, I'll call you back or I'll email you back, and nothing. I mean, it's just, he's totally unresponsive. He's not a leader. He might vote eventually the correct way, like Mark was saying, but he won't tell you that in advance.
But not really on any progressive measures.
Yeah.
So, the various
party hack.
I'm looking at Angelica's website, and of course, first of all, let me just say that she is. It's all up to you all if you guys want to go forward with a chapter endorsement. I would recommend inviting the two candidates to come by and speak, and proceed as you like. It does look like she was a Bernie delegate, which is interesting, and then she was a campaign coordinator. It says for Jill Stein, and then she was the co-founder of the San Fernando Valley Greens.
She ran against Cardenas last time as a Green Party candidate.
She wasn't the co-founder. The San Fernando Valley Greens was founded back in 2004.
Okay, well, she has that incorrect on her website.
Can we put her website link into the chat, please? Could you
No, it's not her site. It's actually justfactsvotesmart.org. Sorry.
Well, can you put the link? Can you put the link in that you're looking at? Just copy and paste it into the chat.
Sure. But again, if it's misinformation, it's misinformation. So, I think you guys should proceed as you like.
We're trying.
National will respond to what you guys are doing. He's not a member of the Progressive Caucus. We pretty much try to lay off members of the Progressive Caucus in terms of endorsing against them. But, if a chapter does it, we then take it in consideration. There are real progressives, and then there are certain people who are members of the Progressive Caucus who aren't. He's neither. So, and then with Sherman as a Republican opponent, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Richard, same guy that runs against him every time.
What's your all's relationship to Sherman's office again?
Well, I drop letters to, basically I email them now to John Alpert, who's a senior policy deputy for Sherman's office. And I have a pretty good relationship with him. And I'll, email the letters, and then I'll talk to him briefly about them. And, he doesn't always get back to me, and I don't always pursue it like I should, but.
What about with the congressman himself? How do you get on with him?
Yeah, I've only met him a couple times. I haven't met him, that much. I was at a few meetings, but it's been a while. Last year, I was at a meeting with him and East Valley Indivisibles. We had and so was Teresa. We represented PDA, and there were some representatives East Valley Indivisible. Actually, it was Sherman Oaks Indivisibles at that time, one of the other Indivisible.
We've met with him personally at least 4 or 5 times, including one on foreign affairs that we knew we were going to disagree on, but he said that he was only picking 2 groups to meet with, and one of them was PDA. That was when Russell was the lead.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we have several of us in the group know either Scott or John or both from his office, and they let us know when Sherman's coming our way on something.
Well, with an active chapter like y'all's, we will be looking to get liaisons to those 2 congressional offices. The liaison structure is to have sort of one person try to establish a relationship, not just with the office, but with the congressperson and the local chief of staff, head of the office, whatever title they're given there. And then have a second person. Between the two, we do want the pair to, we would hope to be reflective of the demographics of the district. And then a third would be, we're going to try to revive an internship, national internship program. So we would be looking for a young person to be the third. And so, going forward, we would, again, Mark and Paul and Mike and Teresa, you obviously have all spoken about your relationship with the two offices. So, but just amongst yourself, decide who maybe wants to step up and do that. Sounds like it'll be a little easier with Sherman's than it is with Cardenas, if Cardenas, of course, wins, which is highly expected.
Yeah.
But we'll have a national coordinated effort that hopefully he'll be more respectful of going forward.
All right.
Going back to the 29th, I think it would be a big mistake
Mm-hmm.
to put off any endorsement.
To what?
I think it would be a big mistake to put off any endorsement. I think if we're going to make an endorsement, it should be Duenas, number one. Number two, it is pointless to try and arrange a meeting that will have them both present, because Cardenas will not show up and he will not provide anyone in his place. He hasn't now consistently for a number of years. The last time I met with him was back in 2014. By 2016, I was on the road to giving up. I'll tell my story again about a conversation that I had because I was contacted by his cousin from Arizona who was campaigning for Bernie. And I happened to ask him, "You aren't by any chance related to Tony Cardenas, are you?" "Oh yeah, that's it. I am. He's my cousin." Oh, and we had a little conversation that went on for a while. And I described my relationship with him and what has gone on with him, his non-responsiveness, his refusal, literal refusal to take positions before he's voted on the floor on most issues. And he said, "Yeah, that's Tony. That's the way he operates." And he's been consistent. I don't think there's the slightest chance in hell that PDA should endorse him.
Oh, I agree. Look, we got in a sticky situation in all places in San Francisco this cycle, where Pelosi's office claimed they never reached out to her, and so on and so forth. So, you guys proceed the way you want to proceed, and we'll just follow whatever you do and the national elections team. Angelica seems great. Cardenas seems like, I believe Leslie just said, if I'm getting your name right, I'm sorry if I'm not. So proceed the way you want, but pro forma would be inviting both to the next meeting.
Well, we're going through the chapter endorsement, PDA's chapter endorsement process. We talked to Dan O'Neill about it.
Right.
And he explained, when I went through, Teresa and I went through the process with him, and he said that actually get the contact information and they would send out the questionnaires, and, we'd work out. We're hoping to get them to send out the questionnaires. We're not hearing back from them, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that later in the meeting.
You mean Mike hasn't sent them out?
No, we thought.
You guys don't have, I don't understand, but the process isn't really for them to send it out. You guys can send it out. Do you not?
Well,
have
when we talked to Dan about it, he said that that National would send it out. He said National would send it out, and I guess they would get it to us. They would conduct the online voting if we wanted to, because we have to make sure that the people that vote and have been are in CD 29 and that have been on the
Sure.
national list for 60 days. And so what our plan was is to follow the guidelines, was to get the questionnaires out, get them back, and get them posted within the prescribed timeframes before the meetings. And we were hoping to have both candidates at our August meeting. And then right now, our thought is then we would have online voting for 3 days after that meeting. But I think it's 11 days before the meeting, we would have gotten the questionnaire back and have it posted on our website for, the people that are gonna, for people to look at. I mean, that was the process that is outlined in the chapter endorsement, and we talked.
I don't think there's any reason why you guys can't send out the chapter the questionnaire. I don't think there's any reason why national.
Oh, okay.
So your email doesn't come up as simply in my I'm sending it to Teresa right now, okay? So Teresa, you should just have gotten the latest version, newly updated, only this past month. Not that it has any good questions related to the uprising or anything like that.
All right.
It just got sent to Teresa. Hopefully it'll come in.
And are you talking about the updated questionnaire?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, can you send me the link also?
Just what's your email, Mike? Because it's not coming up in my browser.
Oh.
Let's just drop it in the chat. Do you want to put a link in the chat?
No,
well,
it's an attachment. It's not easy to do that.
Okay.
All right, yeah. MBG Michael Berry.
I got it. It's there. I got it.
05 at sbcglobal.net.
Yeah, I just sent you guys the updated House questionnaire.
Okay.
Yeah, please, by all means, get it to them. And look, there's no way Cardenas is going to show up. She's going to show up, and that'll be a nice draw for your chapter meeting next month. And it'll be a Zoom meeting, and I hopefully will attend because she sounds really great, actually.
Okay. Yeah, actually, it's the August meeting that we're shooting for.
Oh, why not?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry.
July.
No, it's next meeting. You're right. It is the next meeting.
If we move quick enough, it'll be July.
Yeah. Now that we're going to be sending it out, now we've got to get the time to do it and get it out. Yeah. I'm sorry. It is the July meeting.
Yeah.
Well, does anybody
We're hoping to have our assembly person at the August meeting, but we don't know yet.
I don't mean to be abrupt, but I had said to Mike I was hoping to get off by 8. It's 8:22.
Oh.
And but any other questions or anything from anybody? I mean, I saw Lorraine was on the call, and she's just, or I don't know if she's still here, but she's the greatest, and I sure do wish she keeps trying to get elected to offices around the region and the world, and I'll continue to support her. So,
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I am still here just listening in.
Yeah, I know. It's great.
Hi.
And yeah, sorry about the last election, but we'll get you. What are you thinking of doing? What are your plans?
I haven't decided yet. I'm going to be teaching at CSUN in the fall. I wanted to tell everyone about, we are starting up a new organization called the West Valley People's Alliance, which I'd love to have folks get involved with. And our first event that we're organizing is with Northridge Black Lives Matter, which is a march this Saturday that starts at the Northridge Mall at 10 a.m. To CSUN and then to the Devonshire Police Department. I'd love to put a link in the chat window just so that people are aware, and we'd love to invite people to join the group. Yeah, so that's one project anyway.
Lorraine, I was going to announce that. Sounds
great.
And I haven't been to any of the marches. I've been having a sore leg. So that's the first
wow.
one that I can just park right there. Are they, are we going to be able to park at the mall? Do we have permission?
Yes.
Open? Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'm expecting a major spike in cases by June 15th, so I've been kind of staying away from the public. So
Totally understand. I understand. But we will. I'm not sure if this is set or not, but our launch meeting, our first meeting after, so this is like our first event. Our launch meeting, I think, is going to be a Zoom meeting that is about the history of racism in the San Fernando Valley. So I'll let you guys know if when that happens.
Yeah, I think I got a message from Leslie on the march this Saturday also.
Oh, great.
Yeah, there's 2 more people here that aren't going anywhere either for a while.
Yeah.
Yes, understood.
Lorena, they practicing social
How's the little one's
distancing?
broken leg?
Oh, she's doing okay. She's got a shorter cast, which she can walk on, which is good.
Lorena, are they doing social distancing
Okay, here
on
we go.
Saturday?
There's the cast.
Oh, okay.
Are they?
Are they doing social distancing on Saturday?
I don't think so. I mean, we're gonna ask people to, but we're also hoping it will be a big event. I suspect it won't be a great deal of social distancing, but we are gonna ask people to do that, and we have on the flyer to ask people to wear masks.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to slip away unless people have other questions. It's been delightful being with you all. Sorry for the long aside on economic theory, but you know.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Alan. We appreciate you giving us an update.
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you all. Thank you.
Yeah. Take care. All right. So that was interesting. Got a little esoteric for me on the modern. I've heard of it, but I haven't really studied the modern monetary theory. But I think Mark Pash and Brad Parker at one time were giving talks on that. But anyway, pardon?
And Ellen Brown, I think.
Oh,
Ellen Brown.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe she was talking about something different than they were. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
It's all about debt.
Anyway,
basically,
whatever. Yeah.
the guys with money want everybody to be in debt because that's how they make the money, by charging you interest.
Right.
Okay.
That's why everybody's in debt. It's a racket. And they do whatever they can to make sure you're in debt because that's how they make their money. And when you owe them money, they own you.
Anyway,
hang on, Mike, just 1 second.
Yeah.
Paul, is it Paul Carey? Is he still on? No. Oh, he left.
Looks like he's gone.
All right, I didn't have his contact information. All right, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, the next thing on the agenda is, just the IoT reports. I don't know if there's anyone that's been on any of the calls, if they're still doing them. Only if any of you, Mark, have you been on Dr. Bill's Medicare for All calls? Anything new happening there, or?
I'm sorry.
I was on up until early May, and then I've been in hospital.
Right.
So, but I took part in a number of them, and they were very, very educational, and let's see, what else? I'm trying to remember the fellow he had on that was kind of nationally involved, and maybe he was in New Jersey, and anyway, a lot of good information, and I was supposed to be put on Dr. Bill's list for sending out, more information for me to try to get involved in using AFM Local 47 and some of the other groups I'm tied to. One thing I forgot to mention regarding Angelica Duenas and Cardenas is that I'm also a member of East Valley Indivisibles, and though I couldn't go to the meetings, they decided to endorse nobody.
Melissa?
Nobody, hardly anyone's endorsing him.
Yeah, but I was dismayed that they didn't,
Mm,
give more weight to Angelica.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mark, how are you feeling?
I'm doing better day by day. It was a very rough May, but hopefully this whole process is going to end up being a major win, given my non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So, but the hope is that I'll be cured, given a little over 50% chance. But it was a lot rougher than I thought it was going to be, just getting through the whole process.
Yeah. Do you just do it once, or you have to do it again, or how does?
I think it's a one-time deal, but it started in early March, and it'll probably end in like 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
Okay.
Hang in there.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well,
Thanks.
obviously, we wish you well and hope that it goes the way you want to.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much. I'm hoping for the best here, and I can tell you now, being age 67, what a great believer in Medicare I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm counting the years till I get there.
Let's hope it's still there.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm really worried about all the things that are going on.
Mike, it's Alyssa.
Hi.
I've also been on some of the calls on Sundays, which is not a great day for me because we have family stuff. But they've been very good. I agree with you, Mark.
Oh,
They've had
good.
some good speakers. I've
Yeah.
tried to bring some nursing perspective, and I've sent them some things from that.
Oh, great. Very good.
From our association. So
Yeah.
I wish you well, Mark.
Yeah. Well, in relation to the healthcare, that was one of the subjects of the letter drop to to Congress this last month in May, and that's something that Dr. Bill has been pushing, which is the Healthcare Emergency Guarantee Act, which is a bill to pay for out-of-pocket medical costs for the duration of the pandemic for those who have insurance to pay their co-pays and their deductibles, and for those who don't have it to pay their health care. And that's a bill in the House that's sponsored by Pramelia Jayapal. And it doesn't really have any text yet on it. So, I mentioned to John, I said, well, one of the things that Sherman could do is, if he had questions on it, was to contact Jayapal's office and be one of the original co-sponsors. So I'm not sure whether he'll do it or not, but that was one of the bills that we presented to him. And there's no Senate bill yet, as far as I know.
I thought Bernie Sanders had one.
Did he come out with it yet? As of the drop, as of the letter drop, he hadn't come out with it yet.
Oh, okay. I thought he was working on one, but I don't know what.
It may be. It could be, because it does have his name there, but it just says there's no number for it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So he's probably trying to get sponsors.
Yeah, yeah. And then the other bill was the HR 6139 and Senate Bill 3475, which was the Healthcare Worker Protection Act. And that's a bill to get the Department of Labor to come up with regulations to protect healthcare workers and other essential workers that are at risk, from the pandemic as they're doing their work. And that one actually Sherman is co-sponsored. So that one he did co-sponsor. The other bill was Senate Bill 26 and HR 92, which is the Vote by Mail Act. And it calls for all states to allow vote by mail and to send out ballots to all voters to give them the alternative to vote by mail, with the only restriction that they can put on it, the only additional condition is the due date. And they have to be mailed out at least 2 weeks before the election. And they need to be mailed by the post office with no cost to the voter. So, and actually that isn't supposed to go into effect until the 2022 election. So those are the bills that were on the letter to Sherman this month. And I don't know whether, Kat or anyone emailed it to Cardenas or not. Do you know at all, Mark? Did you hear anything about that at all? If anyone sent it to Cardenas?
I have no idea. Sorry,
Okay.
Mike.
Yeah. Okay, no problem. I just thought I would chat. Anyway.
So Mike, that Vote by Mail Act is for 2022?
Yeah, that's when it's supposed to be effective.
What's the point?
I know. I don't know, but that's the way I read the bill, is that it was for 2022.
There's no way that it could get effective for this coming election.
Well, we know that, but at least embarrass the Republicans on it.
It's not going to embarrass them.
I keep hoping.
They're very public about their aversion to vote for mail.
Unless they do it.
Well, they don't like when people vote because then they lose.
Well, no, their plan is that they know if people vote, they're going to lose. That's why they're going through all these voter suppression techniques and everything. Why they've been doing it all along, and finding ways to disenfranchise.
And they're very public about those things too.
Well, it's funny because Tom Hartman's on Donald Trump's email list, and he's getting emails from Donald Trump telling him to vote by mail and register for it. And yet Donald Trump says he's not for it.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of contradictions like that. Anyway, the next thing we have is the endorsement process. And I guess Teresa and I have to talk a little bit about that, because we spoke to Dan O'Neill about 3 weeks ago, and we were talking about some of the things that we needed and some of the questions that we had, and he answered some of them, and he said, well, get us the contact information for Angelica and for Cardenas, and we'll send them out the questionnaires. And we haven't heard back from them on it in terms of when they're going to send it out. And the process is to send out the questionnaire 21 days before our endorsement meeting. They're supposed to get it back 11 days before the endorsement meeting, so it can be posted online. And then we'll have the endorsement meeting. And it's not final yet, but what Teresa and I are leaning towards is, after we have the July meeting where they attend, and we've had and everyone's had a chance to look at, and the questionnaires have been posted, then there'll be 3 days after the meeting to vote. So that's the process that that the chapter delineates, and that we're hoping to to follow. Now, the thing is that only people in CD 29 can vote in it. So those of us who are in Sherman's congressional district aren't going to be able to vote. And the people that are in CD 29 have to be on PDA's email list for at least 60 days prior to voting. And then there's a couple dates where we have to notify national. So Teresa, you and I will have to kind of follow up and see about getting the questionnaires out to the campaigns, I guess.
Yeah, sounds good. Let me just briefly tell everyone, because we have 2 Democrats in the race, PDA normally has both candidates. We would send the questionnaires to both candidates. So that's what we're doing. If he was a Republican, we wouldn't do it. We don't expect an answer from Tony Cardenas. We don't expect him at the meeting. If he shows up, well, he can't come to the meeting unless he fills out the questionnaire and gets it back to us. But, you know, if he shows up, he shows up. But I don't think he's going to show up. I don't think he's sending back the questionnaire.
Yeah.
So, but we're just
Yeah,
trying to do it to be fair.
Yeah. I mean, I think the
If you want that questionnaire actually responded to, you have to send it to his capital office, not his local LA district office. The LA district office does nothing along those lines, and they only maybe will kick it upstairs.
okay, well, you know, you may be right then, because I spoke to someone at his office and I wanted to get the campaign contacts, and she said, well, just send it to me and I'll send it to the appropriate people.
Alyssa, were you saying something?
What?
Oh, I thought Alyssa was saying something.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, did you hear what I said?
Yeah, me? Yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Michael, you said came up a couple of times about being eligible to vote in endorsements. How do you get on the mailing list? Am I on it? I have sent money into the national and never got any kind of response.
Really? Do you get the national blasts?
No, I don't think so.
Like you know, Teresa generally sends out a blast for our meetings, and
Yeah,
like
I
she
get
did,
that.
and then Dan O'Neill sends one out from national. Did you get a follow-up blast from him?
No.
Then what you would need to do is go to pdamerica.org and sign up again.
Okay, thanks.
Lloyd,
But Teresa
also,
Teresa can send the information in, right, Teresa?
well, Lloyd, why don't you check your spam folder also?
Yeah,
Lloyd?
no, I've never seen it as spam.
No, okay.
I look.
Well,
I'm
mean,
really surprised that you're not on it.
yeah.
Especially if you spend the money.
Yeah. Would he be better off sending his contact information to you or me, and then we'd forward it to Mike Fox?
Oh,
I mean,
I have it.
All right. You want to just forward it for him?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. All right. So you don't need to do it, Lloyd.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
Lloyd, I've got like 2 or 3 different emails for you. Which one do you use? Is it the Gmail or the, I forgot what the other one was.
Gmail's fine.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, we talked, you know, Alan covered a little bit that that PDA National is still, you know, working to get delegates for Bernie. And like he said, it's kind of a complicated process, and but they're still pushing to get some influence on the platform, and maybe Biden will be you know, open to some of the policies that Bernie has. I don't know.
Can I see hands of everyone who voted for the Bernie delegates on this call? If you want to raise your hand. Great. Anybody vote for the Joe Biden delegates? Okay, great. Because Cecile won. She's from our group.
Yeah.
And Noah, I forgot his last name. Mike, do you remember his last name?
Sakharov?
Yeah, those 2 won, and for the Bernie delegates, it's the 3 that we were recommending.
Larry Gross, Chris Shimizu,
Yeah.
and Nick Gain.
Yeah.
Nick works for Henry Stern's office. And by the way, Noah Sakertoff works for Sherman's office.
Oh, he does? No.
Yeah.
Anyway,
He's a,
so
he's
yeah,
a
it
member
was
of the synagogue.
good. It was pretty exciting that the three progressives that were on a slate together won.
Yeah. And it's interesting, Stacy Fortner, who, you know, she's involved with DIPSIV and with the Democratic Party. I think she's a delegate also. She was a Biden delegate, and I guess she won. So I posted, good, now you can get Biden to support more progressive policies than he stands for. So then he supports. So we'll see, because I think she's pretty progressive. I was surprised she was running as a Biden delegate.
Yeah. What district is she in?
I think 25. I think she's up from Santa. I could be wrong, but I think she's up from the Santa Clarita area.
Oh,
Yeah, she is.
Is she? Yeah, Lloyd would know better than me. Anyway. So yeah, and by the way, I'm on the political action committee, as Lloyd is, at DIPSIV, and I brought up HR 92 and HR 6139 to be endorsed by DIPSIV, and DIPSIV endorsed them, and they sent a letter to the sponsors of the bill that DIPSIV supported them. I just got those letters today. Did you get the letters from Elise? She sent them out. I don't know whether she copied the whole political action committee. I didn't know they were doing that. But Doris and Lloyd are on the political action committee also.
Yeah, did we get a letter from Elise today?
No, not an email. No.
Yeah. All right. Maybe she just sent it to me because I brought it up.
Mm.
I got an email from her about something else, but not that.
Okay. All right. And so PDA is obviously supporting that legislation. And the one that they're really pushing is HR 6906, which I also brought up at the DIPSIV Political Action Committee. But, you know, we felt, at least for DIPSIV's purposes, it needed to be a little bit more defined before they were going to it. Dr. Bill is pushing that one. And then also, like I mentioned in the opening, you know, hopefully we're in a defining moment with these protests on all these police killings, and we're going to get some meaningful reform, and there's a lot of ideas. And I was a little misinformed, but realized, but was educated that defund the police does not mean eliminating the police departments. It means maybe transferring some of the money out of the police force to be used for setting up an agency for social services to respond when there's a mental illness type of an incident, rather than have the police respond, who, number one, aren't trained for it, number two, really don't want to deal with it, and number three, most of the time seem to or a lot of times I should say overreact. So they're pushing for some of these reforms. And Teresa, did you get a chance to look into them? Did you want to kind of go over them?
Yeah. The Democrats have introduced the Justice in Policing Act of 2020, and it will work to end racial and religious discrimination by prohibiting profiling, and that's going to be done through both training and data collection. It bans chokeholds and no-knock warrants at the federal level. That's no-knock warrants for drug arrest. It requires deadly force be only used as a last resort after de-escalation techniques have been tried. Changes the standard for force from reasonable to necessary. And it also conditions law enforcement funding for cities and states they have to follow through with the same standards, or their funding might get reduced or cut or something. So they can only tell the federal what to do for sure, and then they condition the rest on money. So it limits military hardware that's transferred to state and local law enforcement, requires federal officers to wear body cameras, and encourages local entities to buy them by giving them money to buy the body cameras, requires dashboard cameras on federal vehicles, makes it easier to prosecute officers by changing the standard from willfulness to recklessness, makes it easier to sue by eliminating qualified immunity.
All right.
Let's see, it gives the Department of Justice subpoena power to investigate patterns of racism at cities and states, and gives money to attorneys general to investigate. It supports community-based programs and organizations to reimagine public safety in an equitable way. And there's some other parts to it. It sounds really great. Of course, it has to be paired up with the Senate. But is it Tim Scott, the black senator from
North Carolina.
Republican? Is he North Carolina? Anyway, he is leading that effort, and I heard on PBS not PBS. Anyway, the public radio this morning, James Lankford, who's on that committee, and they're actually, at least James Lankford is actually agreeing to some of this. He was not thrilled with the qualified immunity, so that's probably going to be a hard road to hoe.
You need that one.
Yeah.
That's the most important part of it.
Yeah, well, that's what they're not going to give us probably. But he was in, I didn't think he was going to agree with anything, but they, I guess, are feeling the heat and are agreeing to at least some of it. So we'll see what they come out with in the Senate, and how it can be put together.
Was anybody else on that meeting on Saturday morning with the Black Lives Movement through the CDP when Maxine Waters was really on fire?
Oh, no, I wasn't on that.
Okay, that was excellent.
So she's thrilled with it. I've heard Karen Bass speak about this now a few times.
Yeah. Karen Bass is leading the movement. She wrote it hers.
Yeah, I think she sponsored the bill in the House, and Kamala sponsored in the Senate, along with Cory
Booker,
yeah.
Kamala Harris. Yeah.
And what Lorraine forgot to mention is there's going to be speakers on Saturday from Black Lives Matter. So if you want to find out more information, they'll probably be discussing this, and
But it's just federal officers. It's not local police departments.
Well, they're telling the federal officers what they can do or what they should do, and then they're trying to get the local departments to also follow the same rules by conditioning funding on it.
Yeah. Now,
I think some of it, like the qualified immunity, it just says it's required. So some of it they might be able to do on a federal level.
Yeah.
That's an initial decision, wasn't it? Qualified immunity. I think I have to undo
Is it what? I'm sorry. Yeah, judicial. You said, yeah. They just made it up. Another thing that the Supreme Court just kind of made up.
Yeah, I like the same thing with right to bear arms.
The Supreme Court did that. It wasn't
Yeah. No, Supreme Court.
No, Supreme Court.
Oh, kind of like the state. It's kind of like the state secret rule.
If they can get it in law, so it's at least a little bit less than what the Supreme Court made up, then that should be very helpful. I don't know if they'll be able to do it, but we'll see. And then there's the likelihood of Donald Trump signing it. And on the same day that they were announcing, he was meeting with the police and talking about all the fine policemen and a few bad apples.
Yeah, look, if he loses the election and refuses to leave, we may have the army fighting the police department.
The army's turning against him. Come on, keep going.
So would that national database then not be applicable to federal policemen because it's all, they're all at the federal level?
Oh,
'Cause-
okay. I didn't
'cause I'm
finish the whole bill. I've got like a couple more sections. I thought they had the database. Let's see. Yeah, it creates a nationwide police misconduct registry to prevent problematic officers who are fired or leave one agency from moving to another jurisdiction without any accountability. So I think that applies to everybody.
Oh, good.
Like
Parts of it do,
Well, I think that's a
parts
big
only.
deal. Yeah.
like Tamar Rice, he was killed. The 12-year-old that was killed, the guy had been fired like a few months earlier from another police department, moved over there and killed him without even any warning or
In
anything.
12 seconds. 12 seconds.
seconds. Yeah.
They ought to have some kind of criminalization for filing false police reports also. They've
Well,
been,
that's an idea. This
because
is
they've been
the
talking
highlight.
about
The bill is like
how,
100 and something plus pages. So I'm not sure what's in there that is not.
yeah,
not highlighted.
I know there's probably a lot in there.
Yeah,
Because apparently, you go to the police reports and they completely misrepresented what happened. And the only way we knew is if there was video of what actually happened.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to touch that. That should be a major thing too. And apparently they have 200 co-sponsors. I couldn't find the list, so I don't know who's on it yet.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So we'll see.
Anything else? Any other questions or comments on that?
Let's hope it gets passed.
Okay. Let's see. Does anyone, there's some state legislation that I am not really familiar with, but, well, actually, let me give just a quick report on PDA-CA first. We're working to get some type of people on an advisory board. Hopefully we'll get further along on that. We also have a leadership group. If anyone is interested in being on a leadership group and working on any of the PDA-CA issues, you can let me know, and we can get you on the PDA-CA list for that. And let's see. And our communications director is, like everyone, he's time limited. So he doesn't always have the time to get blasts out as timely as we would like it, or to get our website updated for PDA-CA. So if any of you know anyone that's interested in that's familiar with developing websites and working on websites, or helping out our communications director, again, let me know and I can pass it on to the board. You can send me an email. I mean, offhand, does anyone know anyone?
I think Mike wants to say something, Mike Thaler.
Oh, okay. Is he there still? I saw his.
Oh, it's just David.
I saw his square light up and then he disappeared.
Oh, he's over there with his picture now.
There
David's got Mike Thaler's info. David, you wanted to say anything, or I think it was the background.
I really want to encourage because I'm the chapter chair for the San Diego chapter, and I've kind of stepped up and I'm trying to do more. but like I really want to encourage anybody else who wants to step up and do more, because there are people who are able to do a lot of thinking about the big picture, but we need to have some actuators who actually get things done within the PDA-CA, because we would like to move the message forward more rapidly. So if anybody would like to do that, go ahead and put your information into the chat. And if not, you can, I'll put my email address, and I'm sure Mike would be able to forward any information to either myself or to Mike Thaler also, so that we can try and get you more included into what's happening, and finding out what talents you have, and get you included and working with your talents to help move PDA-CA forward. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot, David, for
PDA-CA has weekly meetings, and so if you make a suggestion and are willing to follow up on it, you can pretty much lead the group where you want to go, I think.
yeah. Also, if you have any issues that you think that PDA-CA should look into, either support or work on, go ahead and, I mean, speak up now if you can think of any that you're in particular, you know, on at the state level. Because remember, PDA-CA is a state political action committee. So we're going to be.
I guess there's going to be a state proposition to eliminate the
Prop 13.
No, the racial profile. Can't think of it. I'm sorry. I'll bring it up next time.
Okay. All right. Well, if you think about it, you know, just jump in. There is legislation that I think most of you know, R.L. Miller. You know, she's formed Climate Hawks Vote, and she's the chair of the CDB Environmental Caucus. And she sent out an email to oppose SB 625, which I don't completely understand it, except that they have a Metropolitan Water District elected board that's elected, and they want to eliminate it and make it appointed. And the concern is that we'll end up with privatizing some of the water supply in the LA area. So
the bill number?
It's SB 625. It's a California bill. And they want to end the LA area's Central Basin Municipal Water District Board, which is an elected board, and replace it with a receivership, which I don't understand. Okay. But right now, the California Basin Municipal Water District is governed by this elected board. And like she said, it's not perfect, but this isn't the right solution to end it. So
I think this was, I'm not sure who originated this. Is a issue similar to one that Stacy Fortner brought to the packet, PDA-CA, about a board, a water board. What I did get that email, and it is a water board down in South Central LA. And according to the email, that there was an audit that apparently was the incentive for this, but also some allegations of money being involved, parties being involved, like Supervisor Hahn having an investment in the project. But according to the email, there was after the audit that apparently was not good, that there was a whole new board elected, so it doesn't seem like it's necessary.
Oh, so there's a new board, okay.
Well, she's urging people to call their state legislators and ask them to oppose it. So, you know, that would be, I guess, Henry Stern and Bob Hertzberg in the area for some of you other people.
Yeah.
And then if you got to call the assembly, Jesse Gabriel and I guess Adrien Nazarian. So if you know anything about it, or if you want to look up the bill, or you just want to call and oppose it on the basis of what RL says, you can call them and ask them to do so. And then there's a couple there's 3 bills actually that the Sierra Club is supporting. And again, they sound good, but you know, the devil is always in the details. And you know, sometimes these large environmental organizations are a little too friendly with the people that they're opposing and make too many compromises. So I don't know whether these are good bills or these are more like that. But there's one is AB 3214, and it updates current criminal penalties for companies that knowingly cause oil spills or fail to take actions to prevent them when they knew that it would happen. And it's to prevent that fail to prevent oil spills into state waters.
And they're opposing that?
Well, they're supporting it. It updates criminal penalties.
Okay, they're supporting it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And they're I may have misspoke. And they're also supporting AB 3030, which sets a target for California to conserve 30% of land areas and waters within the state by 2030. It's in line with an international effort to protect habitat. So it actually is, you know, hoping to produce what's left of nature, or some part of what's left of nature. And then the third bill is AB 2287, which supports the development and use of truly degradable and compostable alternatives to plastics by updating California's advertising laws to reflect updated standards, certification, and best products for labeling products. So I guess they want products to use less plastic in their packaging or whatever. So I'm sorry to be so vague on it, but I just didn't have time to really look into it. But you might want to be aware of those. And if anyone knows anything about those, you know, you're welcome to say something now and add on to what I've said. So.
Well, Mike, we should wind this up pretty soon. I just want to say one thing. I got a text from Food and Water Watch. No, wait a minute. Which one is it? I got too many texts here. Hang on. There it is. From Save Porter Ranch and Food and Water Action. And I don't know if anyone saw in the LA Times, they said that there's a 3,000% increased use of Aliso Canyon under Governor Newsom. And he ran on a campaign to close it down. So they're asking people to call and write him or whatever you want to do and ask him to close it as soon as possible and tell him that you are not happy that the usage has gone up instead of him working to close it down like he said he would during the campaign.
Yeah, and tell him he should be rolling back the opening up of California. He's getting to be too much like Trump in that regard. So, just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I'm worried about it too.
Me too.
Anyone got anything else?
Anything else? Anything else that you're worried about? Anyone else want to comment on how upset they are and what we can do about it?
Any rants?
My rant is, I think this COVID thing is way overdone, and the shutdown's doing more damage than people dying.
Well, there wouldn't be any damage if we were like Canada, which gave monthly wages to everyone in the country that had lost their job. And a lot of European countries did the same thing. They pay their people to stay home. That's what they should have done here. $1,200 doesn't pay the rent.
Right.
You wouldn't have people protesting and running around the Capitol with weapons.
Yeah.
I object to the idea of elementary school kids wearing face masks at school and not being able to play.
You'd rather them get sick or get their grandparents sick?
Yeah, I don't think the kids are going to get sick. I think it's way overdone, and I think herd immunity should be fostered, and the people that are at risk should isolate themselves, like grandparents with lung cancer and diabetes.
Well, I think we're going to agree to disagree on this one. It took 600 deaths in the span in the 1918 flu epidemic for that to happen. If it happens that way here, we'll probably have 1.5 million deaths.
And also Switzerland had Sweden had and didn't work too well for them.
Not at all.
Sweden had what? I'm sorry.
If we would have started the social distancing and the masks and we would have done the testing we should have had back in January when we knew what was going on.
November.
Well, I'm giving them a little slack because China held off for a while, and the CIA, our intelligence really didn't get on top of it until December.
He had notice in November.
I would have settled. I would have settled them.
Whatever, he screwed it up.
CNN has reported a Harvard study that said that in August in Wuhan, that all the hospitals, the cars parked around the hospitals were doubled, and the internet got real busy. The Chinese internet got real busy about flu and inquiries about
really
flu.
In August.
I saw that they had satellite photos of the parking lots in the hospital.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of speculation there. I mean,
it's hard to say.
I mean, there's no, even if you take the most conservative approach and say, which I think China did withhold it for a while, but by January they had announced it, and whether Teresa's right and we knew about it in November or we didn't know about it until January, either way, if we would have started even as early as January, things.
Well, if we had a coordinated CDC that wasn't being run by a stupid president, that might have helped a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they hadn't thrown out the plan that Obama had put together.
Right.
Shut down the Chinese bureau, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we had a liaison in China who was supposed to watch for that he funded and pulled out also.
Right, that's what Doris was saying.
But even with that, our intelligence had reports of it, and there were US WHO employees that knew about it that were telling the administration about it. So he just ignored it.
Yeah.
I think he's guilty. I think he's guilty of manslaughter, negligent homicide.
I do too.
Yes, there you go. Now let's revoke that rule that you can't indict a sitting president. Dumb rule.
Agree.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Shall
All
we-
right. Well,
They're going to do rallies this week. No
Yeah.
masks. They're going to no social distancing. They're doing the GOP convention in Florida. Everyone's going to fly there and fly back all over the country again.
yeah.
No masks.
Keep
No
them
social.
amongst themselves, I'd be fine.
Say again, Doris.
If the Republicans could keep that among themselves, I wouldn't mind so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh boy.
It's scary.
Anyway, we should close it down.
All
pretty
right.
soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you all for attending. It was good seeing you all, and we'll see you again next month, and hopefully we'll have the endorsement meeting.
Thank
Okay, I
you.
hope Mark will keep
Thank
moving.
you.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay.
Good night.
See you later, Bruce.
Yeah.
See y'all.
Yeah.
See y'all later. Thanks, David.
You got yourself.
Stay well, COVID free. Get lots of sunshine.
You have to go up to the top.
I know what I'm.
Mike Taylor, you're looking really good with that beard. You're looking like the last czar of Russia.
David, thanks for hosting. Not responding.
Yeah. Honey? Weird. I will call Leah.
See you later, Mike Taylor. I don't think you can hear me, but I'm talking to you just the same.
Cookie's so weird, doggy.